Have you ever noticed that once you start wanting something that you think about it more and more and become fixated on that thing and it takes on a life of its own? Have you ever noticed that once you finally get that thing, that you feel satisfied for a while, but then over time that fades and you discover yourself wanting other things? Have you ever noticed how challenging it is to really feel gratitude and then to maintain that feeling of gratitude? I'm going to show you how to break the addictive cycle of wanting and to utilize it to experience more gratitude in your life. So let's start with what a want is, right? So wanting something is noticing, experiencing that you're lacking something. And it's really just a thought in your head. You're thinking that there's something that you don't have that you're lacking, right? So, I mean, that could be anything like it would be really nice to have a bigger house, or all my friends have the newest phone, but I don't. Or something like candy bar sounds really good right now. That's all a want is, right? It's a thought in your head. Notice that when you start wanting something, if you think about it more, it becomes just a bigger want. You start fixating on it. And then notice that if you do that long enough, it eventually becomes a need. You actually talk yourself into the fact that you need this thing. You don't just want it, right? Becomes that big of a deal to you. And once you get to that point, there's really going to be no talking yourself out of eventually getting that thing. So you get that thing, right? And then you feel satisfied. There's a release of dopamine in your brain. And everything's good then, right? You've gotten the thing that you wanted and now it's over. But it's not, because time passes and then you have more wants. Notice that this is the addictive cycle. There's your dopamine release right there. Notice also there's no limit to the amount of things that you can want in life. There's no limit to the thoughts in your head. If I want this, I want that, right? And they disguise themselves in the various ways that I talked about. So what can you do about this, right? So it's important to approach this early on. You know, the smaller it is, the easier it is to try to tackle it. So you want to get this at these first couple of steps. And what you need to do is interrupt. You need to interrupt the continual thinking of the wanting, the having those thoughts in your head. You need to pause and notice when you're wanting something and think, oh, well, why am I wanting that? You know, what is it really going on? Sometimes if you want a candy bar, you're just really bored, right? Am I really experiencing that lack? Or am I maybe comparing myself to others, or just not even thinking about what I really, really want out of life and just am substituting with something that I know I could possibly get later on? So you really need to pause and notice and think about that want, not just wanting that thing. And what you want to do then is to focus on what you have that's related to that thing. So for example, if you're thinking about getting a bigger house, think about, oh, okay, so what's great about my current house? You know, what are the awesome things going on in there, the fun that I'm having, what it provides for me. So you think about that more and more, focus on what you already have, and that leads to gratitude. And I want to make a distinction between gratitude and that satisfaction that we saw in the cycle of the addictive cycle of wanting. And satisfaction is that experience of the feeling of having gotten that thing, right? So satisfaction is like having eaten that big delicious meal, maybe like a Thanksgiving meal. Now, gratitude, on the other hand, is what you can experience even before having that meal. So, for example, gratitude is the saying thanks before the Thanksgiving meal. Being grateful for the friends and family that are there, being grateful for the experience that you're about to have. And that's what's so amazing about gratitude, is that you can experience that anytime you want to, right? And a great time to experience that, like I'm demonstrating here, is when you are experiencing your want, which is your lack, right? Because what you're doing then is you're flipping the script a little bit. You're balancing in some focus on gratitude when normally you would just go through the cycle of, well, I'm going to want it, and then I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to feel satisfied, and then unsatisfied, and then want it again, right? So that's how you break the cycle and retrain your brain. So that's the bare minimum of what you need to do to break the cycle. It's to get in there, pause and interrupt right at the beginning, and start focusing on what you already have. Now, there are some additional things you can do to really help out with your ability to do that. One of the things that you can do is to delay gratification. So, for example, something simple like a candy bar, just make yourself a deal. Like, okay, well, I'm going to wait 10 minutes and then see if I still want that candy bar, right? And then if you do, then have that candy bar, right? That helps retrain your brain, and also in the moment you get to focus on a little bit of gratitude. A lot of times you'll forget about it, and you, in 10 minutes, decide you actually don't really want or need that candy bar, right? Intermittent fasting is a great way to supercharge that. Also, meditation can be very helpful in being able to pause and notice and think about your thinking, think about your thoughts. Exercising every day, doing something hard every day. Those are some other great ways to really break the addictive cycle of wanting.